Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you enjoyed last few videos. It has been fun for me. Today we will take a look at Ark of Osiris strategies on like a medium beginner to medium level. So yeah, Ark, it's one of the greatest events that you can play. I think the most fun event that you can play in the game. So in this video, I'll talk about like a beginner to medium strategy, how you're gonna win matches, what is the best for you to do, the rewards and such things, like what's best for you, and as an officer, what's best for you to do for your team as well. So stick around in this video and find out with me. Either later today or tomorrow, I'll do another update for an advanced strategy for like close to Osiris League level type of gameplay. So if you're more interested in that, watch that. Let's go over the structures first. This is just the easy stuff. You have two Shrines of War. They give you attack stats and defense stats, right, for all your troops. And they give like 80 points per minute, if I'm not mistaken, which is a pretty decent point per minute gain. So then you have Shrine of Lives. They gain the same amount of points per minute, like I think it was 80 or it was 60. I'm not entirely sure, but I think 80. Those give you health and I believe march speed or healing speed. They changed that. Then you have outposts. They only give like 30 points per minute for each building, which eventually adds up to like 180 if you control all 6. If you got 3 of these outposts, you always see the Ark in the middle, which is new. It's a new buff that you get. It's a kind of cool buff, but it's not really interesting, really. Then you have the other most important structures in the entire game, which are desert or sky altars. They give 180 points per minute per building, which is nuts. Like, that's 2 or 3, well, over 2 of the other most point structures, which are the shrines, right? So you kind of want to control those because those are the best point per minute structures. Then with obelisk, you can port there. It's not very interesting, only 20 points per minute. Not that good for points, but good for porting, which is essential. Lastly, you have caravans, which spawn like 3 times a match after each official arc time. They give individual points, but also points for the match. Well, why would I play Ark? For the rewards, of course, and for fun, but 2000 gems, 10 golden heads, some other goodies like speed ups. If you win, hey bro, that ain't bad. If you lose, you still get like half the rewards. And I think that's pretty decent, right? The rewards are good. Good enough to not miss out on, right? So you should definitely play Ark and win most of these matches. Hold on, yeah, they give 150 points a minute, the altars, and I noted them here, 150 a minute, so I was wrong previously. Anyways, let's get to map building. You see the altars here, I made a cube around them. Those are the best structures, and those will always be your main goal, even in like low level matches, those will be your main goal. Further, you're gonna have these yellow boxes that I drawn, and you want to take those at the start of the match with tier 1, and you're not gonna do a lot with them afterwards. It's just take it, defend it for the first wave, and move on. And basically the entire match, you want to keep those desert altars, sky altars, those 2 red boxes, you want to keep those structures, and those structures should be your goal for pretty much the entire match. But if you have time and you're marching towards the, well, one of the structures, so take when on the route to Sky Altar, for example, when you're marching to the Sky Altar on the left side, then you should reinforce if you already occupied the structure, or take the structure back when the enemy did so, because, well, that's just efficiency, right? And on the top side as well, you have there the Shrine of War, I think, and you should take it when you push towards the enemy's desert altar. It gives free stats that you will probably need for that altar as well, right? So eventually the map looks like this for medium level type of alliance. So those 3 structures, so the ones in green and red, are the most important. And if you got all of these, then you can push towards the black boxes, which are far structures. It's hard to combine those structures in combination with midfield. So when you go to a mid fight, it's not very efficient to go all the way to that structure, and you got to go back, and it's annoying with the planning, and usually the enemy can defeat or defend it pretty easily. So you can leave them for now and just move on towards one of the other two structures. So for example, if you only have one altar, just move to the other altar instead. That's more efficient, more important, gives more points per minute. And of course, if you have your three structures, or if you have both altars, you just lost your Shrine of Life, but your troops are closer to the desert to the Shrine of War, of course you go to the Shrine of War. So yeah, that's pretty much all about efficiency, right? And for teams, I just prefer just have one guy out there that is running with like 3-4 marches, maybe all of them, taking these enemy outposts. It's very annoying. I mean, but eventually over the whole match, like 30 a minute, so three structures, 90 a minute in terms of points throughout the whole match, like times 55, will be like 4k points. And that's the amount of points that your enemy cannot get. But if you manage to occupy it for longer than the cooldown time, then you gain points per minute. So it's actually like 6 or maybe 7k difference what you can make if you can hold it. So that's yeah, just have one guy out there doing that work. And there is many factors in this map that you can improve, and we'll do that in the next video, which is much more detailed. So by the way, you can do an initial rally on the enemy obelisks. You can do it, and if you can keep them, it's nice. You can port in a whale and zero a bunch of their players. Maybe I should have told that from like the beginning of the video, but yeah, you can do that. But usually if you're like a pretty even matched enemy, you're not gonna hold it for that long, and it's just maybe a waste of field troops. You want to have those field troops somewhere in the field running around, taking structures, reinforcing structures, you know? By the way, you're free to use these screenshots. You can make a screenshot and you're free to use them. They're mine anyways. They're on my Discord as well, so you have permission to do so. Let's talk about the individual accounts. How to prepare for such a match. Of course, you want to activate that 24-hour, or well, 12-hour is fine as well, defensive buff usually. If you're a garrison player, defensive. If you're a rally player or field player, you can also do attack. It doesn't really matter. You kind of want to occupy structures as fast as possible or hold them for as long as possible. So it really depends if what your role is. You want to have that basic army expansion. But you can also use the advanced if you have a lot of purple ones. For more important matches, you should, like Osiris League matches, try to use the purple one if you have the troops for it. Otherwise, the blue one is just fine. And if you don't have a lot of troops, just don't use it. Like, it's just annoying to run with half marches. It's, blah, no. In terms of marches, just use your best marches. Like, Juge is one of the top choices in here. Juge with Herman, right? You have Liu Che, you have CPO, you have such commanders, you have the Cav commanders, well, Joan Prime, Nevsky, all of those, right? You can use all of those. Just use your meta marches. There's enough videos out there that show you what the meta marches are. I have 5 marches in here that I can use. Of course, Guan Sargon isn't the best, but if I want to run 5 marches, this is what I would be running in Ark of Osiris. And what I do, the Guan Sargon is the worst, so if I need to reinforce any infantry structure, I'll just reinforce it with my Guan Sargon to take it out of the field, reinforce with infantry, right? But what if you have like 2 good marches? In this case, let's imagine that the Constantine Mulan is a good march, and that the Ashur Juge is a good march as well, and the other 3, the red ones, are bad marches, just trash marches that you have. You don't have anything else. In this case, you have 3 marches free to reinforce structures, and that will be your role. So, of course, You gotta ask the player how many meta marches do you have, and if they have 2, they should use the other 3 marches to either farm caravans for points or to reinforce structures. And we prefer the latter because, well, they need to get filled in order to keep the structures running, and in order to keep the points, you kinda need that reinforcement support, right? And if you have 4 or 5 marches, you're a field player, you should be doing field mid fights and such. Remember that in Ark you don't want to heal your troops, it's just a waste of speed ups, so if you are low on troops, just don't swarm any rallies. Don't swarm the rallies, don't swarm the garrisons. It's gonna be very bad for your troops and you're gonna run out before the match ends, which is never a good thing, right? It sends you back to farming, and no, that's just not working. And this part is for our force, titled officers actually. You have 3 lanes according to Lilith. According to me there is 4, but I will go over that in another video later, the next upload. You have the mid lane according to them, you have top lane, and you have the bottom lane. Top lane, bottom lane, well, makes sense, those go for the structures, and the mid lane goes for Ark. But you kind of want those mid lane to be in the structures as well if there is no Ark to battle for, right? That makes total sense. So that's why I don't really like this role assignment. It doesn't really work. You kind of want 4 or 2 teams. You have 4 coordinators. Those are the ones in yellow. Those are in the past, those were the titled officers that could place markers, activate skills and such, but now these are coordinators. You have a bunch of skills. Which ones do you want as an alliance leader? It really depends on your matchmaking. If you get a bad feeling that like your enemy is gonna be an inactive farm alliance thing, you kinda want the farm skills to get you some extra points, march speed. But in most cases, in even matches, you want these 6 skills that I put above. But you can also use like stocking up, total vision, Heaven's Grace if you have very big field fights, mid fights with 30 plus players, and To the Death is a very decent choice if you have a lot of players in that mid fight. If you don't have it, just don't use it. Like it's 6 points, you can use more other skills elsewhere. If you don't have the 20 to 30, 40 marches, well, it only works for 30, then just don't use it. You have Insatiable Desire, which is if your enemy is inactive and doing farming or something, or does not show up, you want this skill to farm some stuff. So that's something you have to predict a little bit. You have Bog Down and a bunch of skills here, like Twist Stride, Running Charge, Tear Down, War Drums. You can use those, but those are not really meta if we watch Osiris League matches, right? So why are these top 6 skills? Why do I love them? Well, let's go over them one by one. First skill gives you march speed and all damage bonus to your rallies after they depart from your city. The second one will let you port 30 plus members, and they gain a 30% buff to all damage, I think, which is nutty. And that's, well, it can be really nice in certain moves. If you need to steal an arc, for example, you kind of want that skill. The third one is kind of the same story if you want to steal arcs. And if you're a small team, this is like a decent mid-field buff. You can depart later from your cities as well, but let's go over that in the other video. This one gives like a 50% march speed to invisible troops, because your troops will turn invisible. And you get like 30% all damage after you attack someone, because if you attack someone, you lose the invisible buff. The fourth skill is, I believe, 10% all damage for all troops on the whole map. And either a vision reduction or a vision bonus to your troops, or a vision reduction to the enemy troops. Not entirely sure, but this is just a cheap buff that you can use in mid-fights as well, but also if you want during important structures, but I prefer using it in mid-fight in combination with Sneaky Tactics, the third skill. The fifth skill is the most important and best OP skill in the entire game. You want to activate that skill at the start of every game, and once it comes available again, activate it. It's gonna increase your energy points, so it costs 2. And if you use it at the start of the match, in the mid-fight you'll have 10 energy points. Whereas if you don't use it and save everything up, you have like 6 or 7 skill points. So you get like 3 free, maybe 4 free skill points if you use it over time. So you should use that skill as often as possible. Professional teams don't use the last skill usually. It's only 1 point and you can use it on all the structures. If you need to defend the structure, you get extra defense. And this helps with generating some extra points if you're in trouble or saving that one structure that you almost lose. You could replace it with Total Vision or Heaven's Grace, maybe Stocking Up, or the skills that I mentioned before. It's not the super meta lineup, but it's fine if you need to keep a structure towards the end of the match and it's getting close on points, then it's fine. So I think this was it for today, right? We talked about pretty much everything for medium, new beginners to medium type of players and alliance leaders. In short, for the individual player, if you have 2 field marches, use the other ones to either swap farm or to fill a structure. So yeah, I missed some things in this video, but I'll go over everything in detail in the next video. So don't come in the comments and say like, oh, you forgot this or that, or things like port order and such things. The managing, the small stuff, I'm going over all of it in the next video as well. So don't worry about that, okay? You can comment if I have made some big mistakes, of course. Just let me know. I need to know it. My Discord is full of information as well and more detailed about the next video. For leaders, use that map. You can draw lines. If you want to have 4 teams, you can draw the lines, and I'll do that in the next video for you as well, which will be far more detailed with Osiris League kind of strategies. So if you want to see that, leave a thumbs up, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in that video. Bye.